Ladies and gentlemen, you know, sometimes life gets heavy, real heavy, and you're sitting in that quiet room, lights off, no phone calls, no messages, just you and the silence. It starts creeping in, that whisper, you're on your own, no one's coming, no one sees you. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing that. You'll start wearing that lie like a coat. But let me tell you something, that's not the truth. The truth is, you are not alone. Even when the crowd walks away, even when your so-called friends go ghost, even when your own family doesn't understand the fight you're in, there is still a presence around you. A covering, you can't always explain it. You can't put a name to it, but you can feel it. In the stillness, in the moments where your knees hit the floor, in the seconds before you break, something holds you together. See, there are people, forces, energies, whatever you want to call it, that are assigned to your journey. They don't need applause. They don't need recognition. They don't need a thank you card. Their job is to stand guard. Quiet, invisible, unshaken, that protection, it's real. You're breathing today not just because your lungs work, but because something made sure you got through the night. Think about the moments that should have destroyed you, that heartbreak, that failure, that setback that made you question everything. You know the one. It should have taken you out, but it didn't. Why? Because something was there, keeping you up when everything else was trying to pull you down. You weren't alone then, and you're not alone now. You ever seen a bodyguard move? They're not loud. They're not in your face. They're in the background watching, waiting, ready. You might not notice them, but they're always scanning, always protecting. And that's how your guardians operate. Quiet, focused, constant. You go about your life thinking you're just lucky, thinking things just worked out. But behind that luck is someone shielding you from what you'll never even know existed. You don't have to feel them to know they're there. You just have to trust, walk like you're backed up by something bigger, talk like you've got a whole force behind you. Because you do, and no, they won't always show up in thunder and lightning. Sometimes they show up in a gut feeling, a last-minute decision, an unexplainable peace when everything else is chaos. You are not alone, and you never have been. That presence, those guardians, they're not gone. They're just working in silence, always watching, always near. So lift your head, keep going, and stop waiting for a sign to prove you're protected. The proof is in the fact that you're still here. Still fighting, still breathing, still becoming. That's no accident. That's purpose. That's presence. That's protection. You ever sit in a room so quiet, it's almost loud? That kind of silence can mess with your head. It can make you doubt everything you know. You pray and don't hear an answer. You try and nothing seems to move. You look around and it feels like nobody's there. That's when the mind starts talking. Maybe I've been forgotten. Maybe this dream isn't meant to happen. Maybe I'm alone. But let me tell you something straight. Silence does not mean absence. See, the world taught us to measure progress by noise, by movement, by applause. But life, real life, deep life, doesn't always show its hand. Sometimes the greatest work being done in your life is the quiet kind. No spotlight, no audience, just you and the silence, but that silence is not empty. It's full of preparation, full of intention, full of strategy. Just because you can't hear your help doesn't mean it's not working. You ever see a seed break open underground? No, you don't. Because the most important transformation happens beneath the surface. The soil is quiet, it's dark, but it's active. That seed is being shaped, broken, stretched, all without a sound. That's how God, life, the universe, however you want to call it, works with you in the quiet. While you're confused, while you're waiting, while you're crying silent tears into your pillow, something is shifting. That delay you hate, that silence you fear, it's not a punishment, it's a setup. Something is being built that your eyes aren't ready to see just yet. People think silence is a void. It's not. Silence is strategy, because sometimes the best way to protect you, to guide you, to develop you, is to do it in silence. The enemy can't steal what he can't hear. So your elevation, your next level, it's being whispered in spaces your enemy can't reach. It's being planned out in shadows where no one's looking. Now, you might be walking through a quiet season right now. Things not moving like you hoped, people not showing up like they promised, prayers not answered like you expected. Don't confuse that silence with abandonment. That's where we get it twisted. The help is there, the guardians are there. They're just working in stealth mode, like a skilled artist creating a masterpiece behind a curtain. You don't see the strokes, but when the curtain lifts, my God, you'll know it was never about being seen. It was about being shaped. You've got to develop the kind of faith that doesn't flinch in silence, the kind of trust that says, even when I can't see the hand, I still believe in the plan. Because growth ain't always loud, breakthrough doesn't always shout, and protection doesn't always make noise. But it's real, and it's happening right now, behind the scenes, in the stillness. So the next time you face silence, don't fear it. Respect it, embrace it, because in that silence, something powerful is being prepared for you. You're not forgotten. You're just being quietly positioned for something greater. You ever stop and look back at everything you've been through? Not just glance at it, but really look. Think about the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the days you didn't want to get out of bed, the moments when you said, I don't know if I can keep going, and yet here you are, still breathing, still fighting, still standing. That ain't just strength, that's evidence. That's proof that something was keeping you when everything else was trying to break you. You didn't survive by accident. It wasn't just your intelligence, your hustle, or your discipline that got you through. Nah, something bigger than you had your back. When the weight should have crushed you, something held you up. When the door slammed in your face, something whispered that ain't your door. When you felt like you were falling apart, something or someone was holding the pieces together. You want to know what real proof looks like? It's not in the money. It's not in the trophies. It's in the fact that you're still here. Still moving forward. Still believing in something better, even after the pain, the betrayal, the loss. That takes more than willpower. That takes protection. That takes covering. Because let's be real, there were moments you should have lost your mind. There were situations that should have taken you out, but they didn't. And it's not because they weren't real, it's because you were kept. Let me make it plain. Survival isn't luck, it's purpose. If you're still breathing, that means the assignment on your life ain't finished yet. It means there's more for you to do, more for you to become. You weren't just protected from harm. You were preserved for purpose. Every trial you came through wasn't just a battle. It was a lesson. It was training. And the fact that you walked through it, came out of it, grew from it, that's your evidence. That's your testimony. Don't downplay your story. Don't be ashamed of what you made it through. That pain, that struggle, that's what makes you powerful. That's what gives you depth. Because now you're not just alive, you're wise. You've been through fire, but you didn't burn. You've been through storms, but you didn't drown. You came out the other side with scars, yeah. But those scars tell a story of strength, not defeat. See, your survival is more than just a victory for you. It's a message to someone else. It says, if I made it, you can too. It says, there is protection in the unseen, there is strength in the silence, and there is purpose in the pain. You didn't come this far just to come this far. You were covered for a reason. You were kept for a reason. So don't walk like a victim. Walk like someone who's been chosen to rise again and again. You are living proof that something greater is working on your behalf. And if it brought you through then, it will bring you through now. Keep walking. Keep trusting. You're still here. And that's no small thing. That's the evidence. There are some battles you never saw. Some attacks that never made it to your doorstep. Some storms that never touched you because something stepped in and took the hit for you. You didn't dodge it because you were fast. You didn't outsmart it because you were clever. You were covered. There were fights you didn't even know were happening because guardians were handling it before it reached your awareness. That's real. That's power. That's purpose in motion behind the scenes. We think every battle has to be loud. We think protection always shows up in the form of shields and swords and dramatic moments. But what about the subtle ones? What about the battles fought while you were sleeping? What about the opportunities that passed you by? And you thought you were being overlooked, when in reality, you were being protected from something that looked good, but would have destroyed you. You see, there are forces in this world, divine, faithful, unseen, that are assigned to you, assigned to guard your path. And they don't need the spotlight. They don't wait for your applause. They just do their job, and they do it well. They step into the chaos you'll never witness. They block the arrows you never see. They interrupt the plans formed against you before they can even start. That's why some of the greatest victories of your life won't have a celebration attached to them, because you didn't even know there was a war. But here's what's deep. Sometimes we get frustrated because things don't go our way. We see a closed door and we cry. We lose a relationship and we break. We miss out on a job and we question our worth. But what if I told you that wasn't a loss? It was a rescue. What if I told you that door would have led to disaster? That person would have drained you? That opportunity would have cost you your peace? You weren't rejected. You were redirected. You were shielded. A battle was fought on your behalf, and you didn't even have to lift a finger. That's how real guardians operate. They don't wait for an invitation. They don't check in with you first. They move swift, silent, strategic. You didn't hear them coming, and you didn't see them leave. But the evidence is in your peace. The proof is in your survival. You're still here because somebody was standing in the gap when you didn't even know there was a gap. And that's why you have to walk with confidence, not arrogance, but certainty. Because when you understand that someone's fighting for you in the shadows, you don't panic in the spotlight. You don't fold under pressure, you walk steady, you walk bold because you know, even if I can't see it, I'm being kept. Even if I don't feel it, I'm being fought for. There are warriors you've never met, protecting a destiny you're still discovering. Don't take that for granted. Don't overlook that kind of grace. You are not unguarded. You are not unprotected. Some of your greatest victories were won before you even showed up. That's power. That's love. That's purpose in motion on your behalf. You ever wonder why you're still standing after all you've been through? Why life hit you with its best shot and somehow, you didn't break? You bent, sure. You cried, yeah. But you didn't quit. You didn't fold. That's not just grit, not just toughness. That's because you were kept. You were covered, not just to survive, but because there's something bigger on your life. You've been preserved not for comfort, but for purpose. There's a reason certain things didn't work out the way you thought they would. There's a reason you couldn't fit in where others did. You weren't being denied. You were being distinguished. You're not like everybody else. You've got an assignment on your life. And that assignment, it requires protection. It requires preservation. Because you've got places to go, things to build, people to impact. You were kept because your destiny is too important to be left unguarded. Now look, being kept doesn't mean life's been easy. It doesn't mean you haven't felt pain. Oh, you've felt it. You've wrestled with doubt, fear, loss. You've walked through fire. But the fire didn't consume you. It refined you. It shaped you. And all the while, there was someone standing between you and complete collapse. That's not just about staying safe. That's about being made ready. Ready for what? For purpose. For calling. For influence. For impact. You see, you weren't just protected from the outside world. You were being prepared on the inside. All those lonely nights, that was training. All the closed doors, that was redirection. All the waiting. That was preparation. It wasn't punishment. It was placement. You don't protect what has no value. You don't guard something that doesn't matter. So if you've been covered, if you've been kept, that means you're carrying something precious. And life knew it. The enemy knew it. That's why the attack came so hard. That's why the pressure felt so strong. Because there's greatness inside you. Something powerful, something dangerous to darkness, and because of that, you couldn't be left exposed. You had to be preserved. But here's the truth now that you know you're protected. You've got a responsibility. You can't play small. You can't keep hiding. You can't keep talking yourself out of what you were built to do. If you were covered for purpose, then you've got to walk in that purpose. You've got to show up like someone who was handpicked kept hand, prepared for something greater. So stop asking why you're still here. Start asking what you're still here for. Because survival isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning. Now is the time to step into what you were kept for, to rise, to lead, to become everything that was preserved in you. You were kept for purpose. And that purpose is calling your name. Answer it. There comes a time in your life when you've got to stop second, guessing who you are and what you carry. You've been through too much, seen too much, overcome too much to still be walking around questioning whether you're worthy, whether you're ready, whether you're enough. You didn't come this far by accident. You didn't survive all that pain, all that loss, all that silence, just to live small and walk timid. You've been kept, covered, and carried for a reason. So now, it's time to walk in confidence. It's time to trust the process. Confidence isn't about arrogance. It's not about thinking you've got all the answers. It's about knowing you're not walking alone. It's about knowing there are forces backing you, guiding you, watching over you, even when you can't see them. See, when you understand who's with you, you stop walking like you're afraid of the next step. You stop shrinking to fit into places you were called to lead. You stop waiting for permission to be what you already are. But here's the hard truth. Life will test that confidence. It'll strip away the noise. It'll take you through seasons where everything feels quiet, uncertain, even unfair. You'll be tempted to doubt the plan, question the path, and give up the purpose. But hear me, Just because the path gets rough doesn't mean the promise isn't real. Just because it's taking longer than you thought doesn't mean it's not happening. You've got to trust the process even when it doesn't make sense. Every step you've taken, even the wrong ones, were part of the journey. Every delay, every detour, every no, it was all shaping you, molding you, preparing you for where you're headed. That's the beauty of it. The process is never wasted. The pain is never pointless. It's all connected. And if you can just keep walking even when your legs are tired, even when your heart is heavy, what's been promised will come into view. Not all at once, but step by step, piece by piece. And when it does, you'll realize something powerful. It was never about the destination. It was always about who you were becoming on the way there. You didn't just need to get there. You needed to grow strong enough to handle what was waiting for you. That's what the process did. It built you, it revealed you, it prepared you. So don't wait for perfect conditions to move. Don't wait until you feel ready. Ready is a decision. Start walking. Speak with authority. Dream with boldness. Build with faith. And trust that what's covering you will continue to cover you. Trust that the silence still speaks. That the unseen is still working, and that your steps are being ordered, even if the road feels unclear. Because the truth is, you were never walking alone, and you're not about to start now. Walk like you're protected. Walk like you're purposed. Walk like you're being led because you are.